the effects that it has on children when they start to use it.
It looks like they would take something like that off the market. I mean, if especially if he's been arrested.
Especially. That, of course, was an actual real report on K2. Maybe I'll have to roll to my friendly local head shop and see, you got K2? Because why would you want to try fake, synthetic, genetically engineered plants when they pretty much grow naturally in the world? And you got to believe that whatever the creator, God, Big Bang, whatever, I think it was a mistake they left cannabis and marijuana here. Don't let me digress into all of that. We need now to get into our latest biowars and envirohealth updates, toxic takeovers, and objective eugenics. And we do have a positive update, and I haven't, like I said, I was out of town, so I'm not exactly as up-to-date on these stories as I could or should be. However, even when I have it down to a science, that doesn't mean you shouldn't do more investigation yourself. But coming from Washington'sBlog.com, due to public outcry, Coast Guard rescinds ban of reporters and photographers from the oil spill. Will we see real reporting now going down in the BP Homeland Security Blackwater-controlled ground zero of the Gulf oil spill, which again, as the days and weeks and months, today being, I think, the 88th day of this spill, which of course began on 4/20, as many things seem to. We glance back at Google News on this July 16th, 2010. Well test continues as flow of oil remains halted. Has it been halted? It's temporary, I believe. But let's go down the list of updates. BP oil spill corrects it, dispersants suspected in widespread crop damage, and that's probably not the least of the damage we're going to see coming from the chemicals being put into the already toxic terror juice, which is already spilling all over. An amazing one from gregpalace.com, Shoot BP, the Amazon to Arctic investigation. And it's not coming up. Palace keeps moving that story around, but we basically note, and I don't know his name off the top of my head, but a native elder who basically said, if I had it to do over again, when those BP, Exxon guys all came up to my land, I'd shoot them white sons of bitches. We also get to the BP rumor mill from the fantastic ZeroHedge.com. The Sunday Times has reported that Exxon and Chevron have maybe gotten the green light from Obama-Sire to plot their takeover of British petroleum. As we already noted at the top of the show, BP shares weaken, but new cap holds. We also note from Helium.com, BP readying super weapon to avert escalating Gulf nightmare. I add the question mark. I'm not sure. And again, we'll always know just because I link and post to things doesn't mean that I endorse it. I'm giving it for the full contextual overview of the stories. And so the last thing that we have posted up on the Gulf oil spill from Reuters, BP stops flow of oil into Gulf of Mexico. Our other EnviroHealth updates, we'll hop over for another one from Paul Joseph Watson, where depopulation fanatics and eugenicists launch objective global population study. The Royal Society, an organization made up of renowned eco-fascists and depop fanatics, is to launch a major study on human population growth and its implications for social and economic development, a study it has ludicrously branded as objective. The Society acknowledges it is delving into a hugely controversial area, but says a comprehensive and scientific review of the evidence is needed, reports the BBC, along with a picture of a huge crowd of people crammed together, which is actually a photo from like a rock show or something. The last time I think we seriously got into any population discussions, we played a 30-year-old clip from John and Yoko on the Mike Wallace Show where somebody in the audience talked about the population bomb. And that was, of course, the talking point in the 70s. The population bomb, I believe, written by the Ehrlichs and Holdrens, who are now the science czars. Eco-Science, that's their book. And again, it all sources back to eugenics. Do your research on eugenics and you'll see it connect to everything right now. Plutonium cleanup in Washington State could take millennia. More on that from allgov.com. Vatican radio waves blamed for high cancer risk. That's from The Telegraph. That's a whole episode probably in and of itself, my friends. If you recall, several weeks ago, we noted the new Lucifer telescope going up next to the Vatican telescope in Arizona. Vitamin and nutritional supplement maker NBTY agrees to be acquired by Carlyle Group in a $3.5 billion deal. I smell eugenics. I smell Codex Alimentarius. I smell the eugenics multi-generational serial killers connected in things like the Carlyle Group, buying up vitamin and nutritional supplement makers such as this NBTY. They're buying it all up. They can afford it. They've got the capital. They print the money. They push the buttons on the zeros and ones in this phony fiat currency of fractional reserve banking and derivatives and credit default swaps and all of the schemes and shenanigans that ultimately we just need a Robin Hood tax, a Wall Street sales tax, if you will, and to take our money out of the banks that are financing and profiting off of our destruction, and throws a couple nickels as interest, and we're supposed to be happy for that. Our last note on EnviroHealth, like many of the stories and headlines sometimes, they could fit into a number of other subheadings, but here it is. Tesla to deliver prototype electric autos to Toyota this month. We could have tied that into some science or technology, perhaps even cyberspace war, perhaps even the economy connected to Toyota's difficulties. And doesn't it seem as though we could have had electric cars quite some time ago? If you read about the amazing things Tesla was doing a century ago, and we somehow still just somehow can only seem to use this terror juice to power everything we do. We just haven't figured out a way around that. We haven't figured out how to become energy dependent. But somehow, again, we trace back the connections of who owns and profits off of these destructive things. And they blame us for becoming addicted to it after they've forced it down our throat. Now, on all the levels, they're going to pull the rug out from under us and make us even